Hello, I'm Stone Oak Valley and welcome to the next episode of Unpacking My Treasures. So if you haven't watched episode 1, you should check that out if you want. Since this is like a general intro I use for all the other episodes, I have no idea what box I'm at. So you have to check the title or whatever. So let's just go straight to the case and unpack the next box. Hello and welcome to episode 13. Yeah, I told you in last episode it was a unlucky number, right? Oh, sorry. Atari, the box says Atari 2600, 7800 plus Commodore plus 4 and Memotech tape player. Okay. Oh, what is this? Oh yeah, now I remember. Yeah. So, where do I start? So, this used to be an Atari 2600 Asteroids cartridge, because when I was starting my journey on writing my own history, like I showed you in episode 1, I talked about Atari 2600 that we got in 1981 or so. And we only had 3 games, but we did borrow a bunch of games, and trying to remember that was really hard. Anyway, Asteroids was one of my favorites. We didn't buy it, we rented it from some guy. We had to deliver it back, and then, you know, after so many years, I talked, okay, I will go on eBay and buy Asteroids. And I did buy it, I think in 2009. I wasn't aware that there was difference in PAL and NTSC, so I had a PAL machine, my original one from 81, still working, and I somehow ended up buying an NTSC cartridge. I just found out of that about 8 months ago when I was repairing and doing some, you know, preparation for all these movies. So I went online and I bought the PAL version. So I thought, well, I don't need the NTSC. I tried to replace the EPROM, but it's one of those 24 pins, really difficult. There's not much space. So I thought, well, I'll just tear off the label, and then I bought one of these, yeah, there it is, I forgot the name. I bought one of these Unocard 2600, so this is an SD card. So I just popped that electronics in here, and now I can have all the games in the world on this SD card and plug it into the Atari 2600. And yeah, I ordered the PAL cartridge 3 months ago, and it got lost in the post, so I still have to find that because I really want the version I had when I was a child. And this was just a 3D printed cartridge that was available on this URL. You can probably scan it if you want. I didn't like it. Maybe because my 3D printer isn't like the most expensive, but it was difficult to get it in. So this one will of course fit perfectly, because the Unocard PCB fits perfectly inside her. So that was a nice little, you know, tiny little adjustment I could make there, a sacrifice. And then of course I showed you this in episode 1. This is my actual Atari 2600 from 1981. I had done some modifications there before, but I removed them because I want it to be as authentic as possible. So I made my own RF signal cable and put on some ferrites, and I also did some improvements inside. And I think there's another thing that should be here. Yeah, we will get to that. But I got a pretty good image on this one, even if it's RF signal. It's really good. So I will probably show that in when I go through my time pod episode that is coming after these episodes. And then there's an Atari 7800 cartridge. I bought this on eBay in 2009, and it just followed like a collection or something. Yeah, and that was also the Karteka. That was also part of the collection. So I never had an Atari 7800 back in the day. So I was curious in 2008, 2009, and I bought it on eBay. Super cheap. Yeah, and these are just the leftover from my hacking this cartridge. And I will bring out 3 games. So these are Breakout, Combat, Video Olympics, and these followed the original Atari machine back in the day, and these are my original ones, and they are still working. And curious little me, I have opened it up way back in time because I was curious, how does these games work? Can I just replace it or something? Yeah, no, it's not that easy, you idiot. But you know, I was curious. 1981, so I will be like 7-8 years old, right? Yeah, and then we have the classic Atari paddles. I think these are my original ones. Or maybe I found this in a flea market. I have 2 sets of these, but I can't find it. This is not the original Atari 2600 joystick, unfortunately. This is a reproduction I bought a couple of months ago. I have wanted to find my own, but I couldn't. I opened it up, electronics, curious, and then I couldn't get it back, and I must have broken something. Maybe it's in my parents' house. It's very hard to tell, but at least these will, work as a replacement, suitable replacement. It is a newer build. And then we also have Kung Fu Master. So that is also for the Atari 7800. I think that is why I actually wanted to buy that Atari 7800, because Kung Fu Master was there. Yeah, this is just a power supply for the Atari 2600. And here's the thing I wanted to talk about. So I get a pretty good signal out from the RF with this really thick cable and the ferrites. But I also, so I will plug this into this, and this is an amplifier. Let me see if you can find it. And this is an amplifier bought here in a Norwegian shop called Biltema, and this actually does its job pretty good. So by hooking this together, this in between here, I get like an amazing RF signal. It's almost like composite. I didn't want to do any composite hacks on the Atari. I wanted to be authentic as hell. Yeah, and this is just another one of those, newer builds, recreation. So I bought 2 of these, of course. And I think these are my original paddles, because I do remember I had to 3D print the part. So this is 3D printed, and this is the original. So I think this was my original one. And yeah, just antenna cable for these machines. And what is this? +4 joystick adapter. Yeah, so this is a newer thing I bought for the Commodore +4. I never had a +4 back in the day. I managed to find one really broken and really bad shape on some kind of online marketplace many years ago. I just recently managed to fix it and test it, and then I realized I don't have this type of joystick ports. So I bought an adapter just a year ago. Works great. And this is just the power supply for Atari 7800. And it has a logo. And let me see if you can see it. So it says Novation. And this is actually a power supply from my studio, my music studio, because I have a real physical music studio, a real synthesizer and everything. I don't know why that power supply ended up here. It's probably because I bought a new one to that one. Maybe because of its size or something. It says SD2 IEC. Yeah, this is just an alternative power for the SD2 IEC for the Commodore 64, the one with the SD card that I showed you a couple of episodes ago. It's just an alternative power supply from a USB connector. And here we have the actual Commodore Plus 4. I made a big story about this on my website. I had to do so much repairs on this. There's still broken plastic. I'm still missing some keys. I had to make a new keyboard cable. I had to do some EPROM changes. It was really a lot of work to get this back in shape, but it's working now and tested. And yeah, the joysticks are also working. So I'm really happy for this one. I'm just curious on these machines too. And then we have Atari 7800, which I bought in 2009, specifically because I wanted to play this game. And also Asteroids somewhere is mixed into this. So this is just working. It's not been modified. Well, actually I have modified the power, so it's a much easier power plug. I don't remember which plug is in there, but yeah. It is running RF signal only. And yeah, it's also one of these machines I was curious about. It has really good graphics. I mean, it's almost feels like a Commodore 64. Some of the games, really. Yeah, and this was just a power supply. No, power supply. This was the tape player that followed Memotech. The Memotech isn't part of this box, but this is basically just an audio tape player, because the Memotech only takes audio, standard audio, straight in. It's not like the dataset for Commodore 64, which has this digital transfer thing going on. And yeah, what is the brand? Mark. Ooh yeah, that is so 80s and 90s. So what is this? Oh yeah. Yeah, so of course loading games for the Memotech on the tape player is a little bit, you know, cumbersome, so I just found this in the trash. It's an MP3 or WAV player actually, so I put some WAV files on this, and then I can load games straight from this just by audio into the Memotech. So that's just like a MP3 player, or well, it's MP3 and WAV, you know. Then of course the Atari 7800 came complete with cables and power supply and everything. And these are just the pads for that Atari. Yeah, they're pretty similar to Nintendo, I would suppose. I never played an Atari 7800 back in the day. So what's this? Okay, yeah. The Memotech was really cranky. I talked about that in a different episode. I made a story on this on my website too. But the original power supply on the Memotech was really a weird type of power supply. So I went online in the website and I found instructions for modifications where you could just run the Memotech via DC only, instead of this weird AC/DC thing they have going on in there. So I threw away the power supply. I actually sold it in a broken state. Got a nice price for it. So I just made my own to support the modification on that Memotech, so at least I could power it on and trust that the power would be proper. So yeah, the Memotech is really a weird machine. And what do you know? Box number 13. Unlucky number turned to lucky number, I guess, because everything, I suppose, went smooth with all the cameras and everything. Yeah, and also like a random collection here, but yeah, this episode is over and I will see you in episode 14.